There's a growing trend in certain online spaces to bully and shame single mothers and even their children. The narrative they use to justify this behavior often revolves around blaming women for their choices, while completely ignoring the role men play in these situations. It's time we address this toxic mindset and set the record straight. Before we begin, let's clear a few things up. This video is not about criticizing people for their personal preferences or choices. If you don't want to date or marry a single mother, that's entirely your prerogative. Everyone is entitled to their own preferences. We also recognize that there are single mothers who might not be good people, just as there are childless individuals who fall into that category. What we are addressing here is the bullying, hateful, and victim-shaming narratives aimed at single mothers, especially those who are genuine victims of domestic abuse, sexual assault, or whose relationships with their children's fathers didn't work out for reasons that don't make either party bad or at fault. First of all, let's talk about accountability. If a man chooses to engage in unprotected sex and doesn't take precautions to prevent pregnancy, he's as much responsible for the outcome as the woman. If he doesn't want children, he has options, like using protection or abstaining altogether. When a man knowingly ejaculates inside a woman without her consent, even if the sex started out consensual, it becomes a form of non-consensual insemination. This is sexual assault, plain and simple. Many women become single mothers because of situations like this. Others find themselves raising children alone because they left abusive relationships to protect themselves and their children. Yet, instead of holding the men accountable for their actions, these women are demonized and labeled as promiscuous or irresponsible. And let's not even get started on the people who bully children by calling them names like bastards. These children are innocent and precious. They didn't ask to be born, and they deserve love and respect. And even in cases where a single mother may have made mistakes that contributed to her situation, let's remember that no one is beyond redemption. If someone has sincerely repented and is working to improve for themselves and their children, they do not deserve permanent denouncement or discrimination. For those who try to use the Bible to condemn these women, please remember that we are all sinners, and none of us is without fault. As Christians, we are called to avoid self-righteous judgment, as stated in the scripture, "Thou shalt not judge." We are meant to show grace and compassion, not condemnation. It's equally important to recognize and respect the choices of men who do want to date or marry single mothers. Some men see these women as worthy of love and compassion and willingly adopt their children as their own, helping to create a stable and nurturing environment. Just as a man's choice not to date single mothers should be respected, so should the choice of a man who does. His decision to build a life with a single mother and help her become a better person is a testament to his character, and it deserves respect, not ridicule. Let's also address the stigma against single mothers by understanding the statistics and realities many of them face. Single mothers are more likely to have come from abusive families, been raised in foster care, or emancipated with little to no resources, skills, guidance, or help. Many have suffered rape, sexual assault, and other extreme trauma, experiences that many of you judging and condemning them have never had to endure. In fact, many of the women you judge have survived traumas that would have shattered most people a long time ago. If you feel compelled to judge, spread hate, or belittle women and children you don't even know, or if you take issue with these women finding someone who loves and accepts them and their children, you might want to take a moment for introspection. Why do you feel this way? Wouldn't it make more sense to invest that energy in therapy, life coaching, or personal growth? Consider why you feel the need to bully others rather than focus on improving your own life. And remember, life can be unpredictable. Single parenthood could just as easily happen to you. For example, Richard Cooper, a divorced single father, is known for bashing single mothers. The irony isn't lost on many people. So, before casting stones, consider how karma works and use that energy for growth instead of hate. A single mother's past choices, whether it's who she dated, slept with, or had a child with, do not justify the abuse she endured from the father of her children, nor do they excuse the current judgment, bullying, and victim blaming she's receiving. If you are one of those people who use her past decisions as ammunition to shame her, let me ask you this. Does someone's mistake or lapse in judgment mean they deserve to be abused? Does it mean they deserve a lifetime of ridicule and condemnation from strangers like you? If your answer is yes, that says a lot more about your character than hers. No one deserves abuse. No one deserves to be bullied for surviving abuse or for making the difficult decision to protect themselves and their children. If your instinct is to kick someone while they're down, or judge their entire life based on one chapter, maybe it's time to ask yourself why. Why do you feel entitled to judge others without knowing their story? Why do you think it's okay to belittle someone for surviving circumstances you likely never had to face? It's time to grow up and stop hiding behind victim-shaming narratives to justify your own hate. Everyone makes mistakes. The difference is that some people choose to grow from them, while others, like you, use them as a platform to tear others down. Be better. One of the most tragic consequences of society's bullying and judgment of single mothers is the loss of innocent preborn lives. Far too often, women feel pressured into choosing abortion, not because they don't want their babies, but because they fear the stigma and shame society heaps onto them for raising a child outside of marriage or in less than ideal circumstances. Legions of innocent babies lose their lives because their mothers are made to feel that choosing life means signing up for a lifetime of ridicule and rejection. Imagine how many lives could be saved if, instead of bullying these women, we offered them compassion, support, and understanding. Take Britney Spears, for example. If she had chosen to keep and raise her baby, would she have been shamed by the same people who ridicule single mothers today? Would her child have been labeled and judged unfairly, simply for existing? These are the harsh realities women face every day. As I mentioned earlier, non-consensual insemination is a very real issue. So, for those of you who think you can blame single mothers with excuses like, if you didn't open your legs to a bad boy, you wouldn't be in this position, I'm sorry, but you don't get to use that narrative. The fact is, many women find themselves in these situations because of manipulation, abuse, or outright non-consensual acts. Even in cases where the relationship started consensually, no one consents to being mistreated, deceived, or left to bear the consequences alone. Blaming women for trusting the wrong person or being subjected to abuse is not only cruel, it's irresponsible. Instead of perpetuating these harmful narratives, let's focus on the real issue: holding those who perpetuate harm accountable, and creating a society that uplifts and supports those who have been victimized. Pro-life advocate Kristen Hawkins once called out Timberlake for coercing Spears into getting an abortion, highlighting how some men want the pleasure of intimacy without accepting the responsibility that can come with it.
I had a question related to the story that was kind of just released with like Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake. How like kind of your views on that and how that's like possible, like how that comes to happen, that a woman is forced into an abortion.
Misogynistic men who get to decide they want to use a woman's body for pleasure, and then when there's natural consequences of that, like, I'm not ready to be a father. Should have thought about that before you had sex with a member of the opposite sex. Like that, I mean, that's what it is. It's immaturity and selfishness. So I want to gain pleasure how I want to gain it, and then when there's a logical consequence of my seeking pleasure, then I get to decide if another human being lives or dies because I'm busy building my career. That's like selfishness. And I don't know, if I was Justin Timberlake, I would come up with a good PR strategy because he sounds like an asshole to me.
Her statement sheds light on an issue we often overlook: men who manipulate women into making life-altering decisions to avoid accountability. This isn't just about one celebrity or one incident. It's about a culture that frequently excuses men while vilifying women. Let's honor the courage of those who choose life in the face of adversity and work to create a world where no woman feels that abortion is her only option to avoid judgment or bullying. To all the single mothers out there, keep your head high. You are doing an amazing job, and your children are lucky to have you. Thank you for your strength and for giving your children the gift of life. If you're a single mother watching this, I want you to know, the opinions of strangers do not define you. Only you know your story, your struggles, and the sacrifices you've made for your children. You're doing something incredible by raising them, often against the odds. You are strong, resilient, and worthy of love and respect. The right person, someone who truly values you, will never make you feel ashamed of your situation. God has a plan for you, and in His timing, you'll find the happiness you deserve if that's something you still want. And to the children of single mothers, you are valuable. You are loved. Your existence is not a mistake or a burden. Don't let anyone's words make you doubt your worth. If you became a single mother because the father of your children abused you or your children, let me remind you of one thing. This is not your fault. Walking away from an abusive relationship takes immense courage, and choosing to protect yourself and your children is an act of strength, not failure. Even if you consciously decided to sleep with or have a child with this person, that is still no excuse for abuse. No one deserves to be mistreated, no matter the circumstances. Abuse is always the abuser's responsibility, and shame on anyone who tries to convince you otherwise. The choice to leave an abusive partner shows your strength, self-worth, and commitment to your children's well-being. Keep moving forward. You are worthy of love, respect, and a bright future, no matter what anyone says. You will rise above this. In fact, affirm to yourself and to the universe every day that you are already living the life you want and deserve. You never know how everything will fall into place if you continue to have faith in yourself. To anyone watching who wants to help, let's create a world where families of all kinds are supported, not shamed. If you need help or support, check out the resources in the description below. Together, we can change the narrative. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to spread kindness today.